dodging hell. Good Lord. Let's talk about it. Turning this into microphone mode. One of the biggest misconceptions that I believed was that I would have everything figured out once I reached a certain point in my life. I didn't know exactly when, but I thought to myself maybe it was when I graduated from college, or when I got my first well-paying job, or maybe it's when I pay off all my student loans and I'm finally debt-free. But as each year of my early 20s passed by and I achieved each of these goals, I realized that it's just not true. And if anything, I felt more and more lost as I got older. For the last 5 years, where I sat at my desk every Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, I couldn't help but ask myself, is this really the success that I've been waiting to achieve all my life? What am I even doing? Like, am I being over dramatic? And why do I feel so empty? Oh my gosh, this airplane just sounds like a really, really long fart that won't stop. So, what I finally realized at 26 is that life is not supposed to be a puzzle I can completely solve. Sure, working in the corporate world felt like I achieved some sense of success by society standards, but I could feel a deep sense of unhappiness just slowly growing within me. When it got to a point in my personal life where I achieved possibly the greatest Asian dishonor of all, getting disowned by my family, it actually served as a huge wake-up call for me. What I've realized is that I've been living my entire life for the sake of being perceived as successful to other people, while trading my happiness and my autonomy to just be my absolute self. Oh my god. If you don't behave, I'm kicking both of you out, alright? You guys share the bed. Okay? Alright. So you might be asking, well, why did you do that? And I think it's because whether I knew or not, a lot of the time I was living my life based on the expectations set by others. And the pressure of meeting said expectations had me stuck as a person that genuinely feared failure and taking risks. So I became complacent, and I convinced myself that, you know what, this was the right path for me to take in life. But once I finally stood my ground on a decision that I made solely for my life purposes, and I got disowned, that's when I finally knew that it was time to hit that big red pause button in my life. I needed to reset my life course according to my terms and my terms only. So I moved out of my apartment to a whole new city. I finally took the leap to move in with my partner of almost 6 years, and after almost 5 years of working post-college, I quit. And I decided that, you know what, this was the time for me to be completely present in my life for once. It's often said that it's completely normal to feel lost in our 20s. And I was watching this one video by Layla Hormozi where she explained it so well, and that we feel lost in our 20s simply because we don't have enough information collected based on personal experiences. And I think that's such a valid point, right? Because the majority of us live like 12 to 16 years in a structured educational system before we're thrown out into the wild to somehow be an adult. And so a lot of the times when we start our 20s, we feel this pressure of needing to somehow have our shit together when we honestly don't even know a lot of basic life essentials, like how to do our taxes, or what is a 401k, or how do we responsibly use credit cards. That's a huge one. And while I wish we could have a rewind button in life when mistakes happen, unfortunately we don't get one. But what we do have is the power of choice. And this is where I made a very conscious mental shift in my perspective on life, where, like I mentioned before, life is not a puzzle, but it's more like a game where I can choose my own adventure. And okay, I know it sounds corny, but hear me out, okay? Each of us, whether we like it or not, are born into an environment that has its own structures, rules, culture, etc. But ultimately, every person has the autonomy to make their own choices. Now, obviously, okay, there's some people in this world who are forced into unwanted situations because shitty humans decide to physically oppress others. So take this point with a sad touch of reality. But a lot of the times, I think what happens is that people believe they're limited in their life choices because of external factors that trap them within these mental boundaries, whether that's from people that they trust, societal pressures, cultural rules, etc. And for me personally, that was religion, where growing up I felt like I needed to follow certain values in order to be considered a righteous person. But as I got older and I started to live my life in ways that didn't particularly follow these beliefs, it caused a lot of tension since I made choices that appeared not righteous or incorrect in the eyes of people that I was close to. And I would say these types of situations are bound to happen at one point or another in your 20s. Now, if you're blessed to have people in your life that will acknowledge your decisions respectfully and still accept you for who you are, then perhaps this might not be too difficult for you. But for those of you who unfortunately don't, this is where you really need to double down and ask yourself, what do you want in your life? Try not to think about what other people want for you in your life or how drastic their reactions and consequences might be. Be completely selfish in that moment. And if it's hard to do that, because I know that it is, then try thinking about it this way, okay? Imagine that you decide to go with their choice for your life. How are you going to then feel? If you know that you're just gonna be more unhappy, even less fulfilled, and always thinking about what if you decided to go with your path, then I think you know what decision you need to make. And I'm going to be completely honest, it's going to be really, really hard, all right? There will be fights, hopefully just verbally, okay? There will be drama and there will be lots and lots of tears. Definitely get therapy if you can. But I promise you, okay, if you're able to stick through all of that and get to that other side, you are not going to regret choosing to side with yourself. You're also going to learn throughout this process of the people within your circle who genuinely accept, respect, and love you for who you are, whether they're blood related or not. And at the end of the day, you know yourself best. All right, who knows you better than you? Don't start with me with that mother knows best trope, okay? We all saw how that ended for Rapunzel and Tangled. So even though I'm feeling super lost in my 20s right now, I decided that I might as well embrace it. Because while I might not have control in the feeling of being lost, I do have the choice in how I want to react to it. So what are you going to do if you're feeling lost in your 20s? Or perhaps 30s, 40s, it's really endless, right? Comment down below your thoughts and feel free to subscribe to join me in my journey to the unknown. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.